start recording. So welcome everyone formally to our Asian Supervisors Network. We meet the last Tuesday, Wednesday morning of every month. And today we have with us Michel Moral from France, Gerardo Silva from Uruguay, Kevin Khan from Singapore, Lian Lewis from San Francisco today, Jaya from India, and we may have more people coming later. But we're going to jump, and while we were waiting for people, Michel was talking about a couple of things about supervision in France, particularly, and he was mentioning some dispersion and also some controversy about using supervision skills to work with leaders in organizations. So I think that's a very interesting conversation. By the way, I presented a PowerPoint presentation, but I'm not attached to it. Okay, so we can go, we can bring it. But also, Michel wrote a book that came up about trends on supervision. So Sunny, welcome. Great having you here. And so Michel, tell us a little bit about what is your position. You start sharing with us what are your thoughts about this idea of using supervision skills for leaders. For leaders. So leaders hiring supervisors to receive instead of coaches, supervisors supervising leaders.
In fact, my position is that I'm not against the fact that leaders have emerging needs, new needs, which are difficult for coaches, except for very high-level coaches. But the problem is that in supervision, we are supposed to share knowledge about the profession.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a leader in the past, and so I have some understanding of what they are doing. But the leader have no idea of what is a supervisor. If I start to talk about transference, parallel process, if I say to the leader, I think I feel anger against you, but it's probably a parallel process. I think the conversation will be difficult. Another problem is the message to the field. I mean, how ICF and EMCC will manage the fact that some coaches have invested 25 years of their life to become a coach leader for coaches for leader. They built an image, and now there are newcomers coming with supervision for leaders. I mean, how the big professional body will manage that?
So what can be unintended consequences if supervisor? Because I heard that today too. So somebody saying, okay, as a supervisor, I am looking to be hired by leaders, and also there is an element that financially probably you're going to be better paid by a leader than by other coaches too, depending on the context. But Leanne,
Another problem is that we've checked with insurance companies, and insurance companies, they say that, supervision, the definition is control. Then control means responsibility. So it will be for us a good opportunity to raise the premium to maybe 7, 8, 10 times the premium for a coach.
Okay, so very interesting. So welcome. We have Scott joining us, and before Sophia from Australia. Welcome. Great seeing you here. And we're starting to warm up about talking about global trends. And we started with this issue about supervision for leaders. So what are people's reactions when we hear that interest and some supervisors talking about that they want to offer that as part of their services? Gerardo, you raise your hand.
Hello, everybody. It's interesting because this began with trends when Michel told that something was happening with the assistants to the meetings, and that's an important trend that we have to consider. And the second point is, and we had a meeting last 2 weeks ago about the tools of supervision applied in other conversations than supervision itself. And in my humble thinking, Supervision is the next level of coaching and has interesting tools that we can use in conversations with leaders or with others, because it gives us certain structures beyond the standards that help us to go over the conversation. So maybe without the profound thing of transference or whatever, maybe it appears, it helps us to have more interesting conversation as coaches. That's the first thinking.
Thank you for sharing, because it's about maybe even saying, Michelle, and I have never said that before in my life, so this is the first time that I'm going to say that, but I am thinking about the reflective space, like the Nancy Klein framework, that we use, Lian, as CSA also, this is what I learned, like as a framework of thinking, like supervision as a reflective space for thinking. What if sometimes leader needs more of that versus some specific goals and plans and implementation and measurement that many times coaching is good. But we can also have a controversy here that says that's not necessarily all coaching, that's some coaching. This is interesting. It's an interesting conversation.
Why don't we call that reflective space for leaders?
Yeah.
And then we don't have that mess with the impact
identity,
on the market.
With the identity of the supervisor.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, okay. Great conversation to start warming up. Lian, do you have any reaction to that? I'm curious because you also have you have been training supervisors for a long time.
Yes. And I know of people that, I feel like when I'm coaching or supervising, I'm bringing all of me. So if I'm coaching a leader, they are lucky enough to get a lot of my supervision skills because of the ability to, they've said, confirm my language. I obviously sound like I'm speaking Spanish. And the same thing, but if I was to sell them, so it's tricky, isn't it? Because like they get that because that is my training and that's what I'm bringing. And so that's an advantage. If I was to say, oh, I'm giving you supervision, then it's hard then to replicate. Then they're like, what is that? Like I think it just causes a lot of confusion in the marketplace. Just like if you're a previous CEO and you take that in, you bring that. Like if a CEO goes and he's mentoring or she's mentoring or they're mentoring, then they've got that CEO, but sometimes they're coaching, but they've got that CEO knowledge and experience. And so it's you bring it because you've got it.
That's a great point. That's a great point. It's like for coaches, for all supervisors, we cannot avoid not to bring all what you already know in the other field. That's the reason why many people who go through supervision training become much more effective coaches.
Yes.
Because they bring all of everything we learn in supervision, we are applying to our coaching clients too, without necessarily having to change the identity or the names.
But they're still buying coaching, but they're just getting a lot more. Whereas
point.
if you start selling it, like if you start selling it as supervision for leaders, and then you've got to grow that, then there's just a lot of discrimination. It can make a lot of lack of clarity around the organization and coaching profession. Yeah.
So it would be reflective coaching for leaders.
Reflective space. Now, let me share with you I would do like a 5-minute brief lecture. Okay, very brief, to something that I prepare. I presented this already a couple of times for different groups for ICF chapters. So I'm going to do it really fast just to provide a context. Then I want to invite Michel because Michel wrote a book about it. So we want to hear Michel's perspective of what he has published, even though there is more center in France and Europe, some of the things are global. And then let's go to small groups to share what your experience is, what have you seen trends and how this is affecting. Now, my position, and this is my perspective, is as supervisors, we are responsible to be in touch of what's happening in the world. We cannot not pay attention to what's the wars, the crisis that we are living. We need to be connected to that, because if we are not, as supervisors, we are not going to have the skills to support coaches to bring that to their awareness, to the work that they're doing with their clients. So I do believe that we as supervisors need to read the newspapers, need to be on top of what's happening in the world, need to be well informed. And this is my personal belief. Maybe some supervisors don't agree with me, but I do believe that we do have a responsibility to know how, from a systemic perspective, what's happening in the world and how it's affecting everyone. So with that in mind, I want to share with you briefly some of the trends. And I invited Magda Mook. Magda Mook is the CEO of the International Coaching Federation. So she came to one of the sessions. So what I did, she couldn't come on time. So I presented the trends, and then I invited her for her to share her trends, to compare, to see what I had to say and to see what she had to say. And she has been the CEO of the International Coaching Federation for 15 years. So she has a lot to say. And we were pretty aligned to what we have seen. So I want to share with you what she had to say too. So let me share briefly this presentation. Can you see the slides? Okay. Okay, so number one, that's not a surprise for anybody. This is AI, artificial intelligence, and integrating artificial intelligence in our lives and in our work. I did a session on this for the Americas Coaching Supervision Network, and I think some of you were there too. So I don't want to spend a lot of time, but sometimes colleagues have difficulties even in articulating what is it. So I think it's important, and I will share this PowerPoint with everybody, okay? So you can have that later. You don't need to take notes. But if we had to find a definition of artificial intelligence, it's a simulation of the human intelligence. So basically is what computer systems can do, simulating human intelligence. And that includes learning, reasoning, problem solving, perception, language understanding, and decision making. And the idea is that AI technologies enable machines to mimic some of the cognitive functions typically associated with humans. Now, what happened with ChatGPT in some way revolutionizing very fast the use of AI in everyday life, because AI, ChatGPT, that means generative pre-trained transformer, many people don't even know what GPT means, allows for having conversations and dialogues with us. So it's like generate what is called human-like responses to prompts in natural language. So here, a great thing to pay attention is how effective we are becoming at prompts. It's like how effective we are at doing searches in Google. You know, some of us may be more or less effective. So sometimes I will go to my partner and I will say, what do you think is a good way to look at that? Because we may be good or not so good to doing searches when we're searching things in Google. If we prompting here is the same thing. And there is prompting engineering, where you learn how to prompt ChatGPT to get what you need. But something that I discovered in the last 2 weeks is that ChatGPT can prepare for you PowerPoint presentations. So it didn't do this one. I did this one because I did that before I found out. But then I had to do a session for a Association of Coaching Supervisors in Korea. So I did that session last Friday, and I asked ChatGPT, prepare a PowerPoint presentation on challenges and opportunities of coaching supervision. And it came up with a presentation with 15 slides, and from the 15 slides, I could use 10. So it gave me a framework to do my presentation. It was pretty on target. Then I put my own flavor with my own things, but it really saved me half of the time in coming up with a presentation. Isn't it nice just starting with something already that GPT can provide by copy and paste? And it's really, really, really amazing. So ChatGPT, definitely. And by the way, some people have, and I know, Gerardo, you have played with that, and I know other people have played with that, where you play with ChatGPT in coaching, you present a situation, and ChatGPT can ask some questions and can provide some ideas that maybe is not coaching, there is not a relationship and empathy, but still can provide some value to people. So the other thing that people are talking about are coaching platforms. But again, sometimes people don't know what are coaching platforms. And basically, they are a digital tool or software designed to facilitate coaching sessions. So the goal is to enhance coaching experience for coaches and clients. And these platforms typically offer a range of features, and you can choose what you want to use for scheduling, setting goals, tracking progress, exchanging messages, sharing resources. And sometimes the platform even allows you to have video meeting conferences inside the platform. So there are mainly 4 key features: the scheduling and calendar management, the logistics part, the goal setting and progress tracking, what is really interesting, that can support the coach in that task, communication tools to communicate between sessions, to sometimes share insight, provide questions, provide support, and resources. They may have videos, articles, worksheets, exercises, stuff that can help the coachee to work on his or her development. So some platforms are amazing, some platforms are not great. So there is a variety of platforms, and also there is a variety of the use of coaches in these platforms. At the end of the day, the aim is to streamline the coaching process, improve communication, and help clients achieve their goals. Now, what is interesting is Magda was sharing that she was convening the owners of these platforms to come together to have conversations about standards. What should be standard for platforms? So ICF is convening a group of the owners of these platforms to come together to discuss and agree, even though they are competitors, what should be professional and ethical standards in the work that they are doing. But I think it's a progress. So I think I want to share with you briefly, there is, I like to keep, as I was sharing before, listening to the news, seeing what's happening. I like to look at 3 places where I receive information every week about what's happening in the world. One is Gallup. Gallup is all the time doing research studies. The other one that I like is McKinsey. McKinsey has a lot of stuff on leadership, and if you sign up, they can send you every week reports, charts, the latest what's happening on leadership in the world for free. And also I have Harvard Business Review, and I pay a subscription, I think $10 per month or something like that, where I receive the newsletter, articles, and a lot of resources. So these are places that I like to pay attention. And PricewaterhouseCoopers also have research and studies that you can get for free, and that they use that for their clients. But I want to share with you briefly, I believe as leaders in the field and as supervisors, we need to pay attention to what are these global workplace trends. What are the things that we need to be paying attention? And this is from Gallup. And Gallup is particularly interested in engagement. And there are many research projects around engagement. But what is interesting here from the last year report is that 59% of the workforce globally are quiet quitting. And quiet quitting means that they are not 100% committed. We have a 23% that are thriving, 18% that are loud quitting, very upset and articulating all of their concerns, but there is 60% of the people at work, they are quiet quitting. They are not as engaged, and they are not giving 100%, and they feel disconnected and stressed out. And I do believe that this is something that coaches deal in when they work with the clients in their organizations. And we as supervisors need to be paying attention how they support their clients to navigate the current challenges. And this is also associated to higher levels of stress. Stress at one point was because of COVID, then because of technology, because of what's happening in the world, because of the wars, because of many elements, many factors are getting people to be these days at work very stressed out. So 44% worldwide responding that they felt stressed the day before at work. And I am bringing this picture of Google to remind me that in Google research studies around leadership, they find that coaching is one of the key elements for successful leadership. And this is where we can make the point, particularly when we work with leaders in an organization, how important is coaching. So here is like preaching to the choir, but the idea is one of the trends our organizations bringing more coaching to the organization to support leaders to work and to deal with all of these challenges. And the other trend is team coaching. So this is the reason why the International Coach Federation came up with a team coaching credential. It did it a couple of years after EMCC. And they are seeing that organizations are interested in providing team coaching because they realize that the success not depends only on the leader, but also only on the teams that they are leading and the implementation of the plans. So there is this emphasis now in team coaching. So I think supervisors need to be paying attention to that, particularly for people who are involved with the ICF. Supervision is mandatory for team coaches to get a team coaching credential, what I do believe it's a good step because of the complexity of the team coaching process. So here, this is emphasizing that the development of leaders as coaches is key for success. And some of the things to pay attention in relationship to leadership and leadership changing and leadership evolving and coaches having to evolve with the leaders in terms of their challenges in coaching, hybrid organizations, less hierarchies and dealing with flat organizations, and all of the diversity issues that are coming up. So still people are struggling how to embrace diversity and how to embrace, in the United States, institutionalized racism, but this is worldwide, show up in different ways and forms. Here we have people from all continents, I think now, coming from Europe, America, Asia, Australia. They were missing only Africa in this meeting today. So, I'm not letting you go. Stuck. So one of the areas that Magda brought to people's attention in her presentation was coaching being integrated in different parts of society. So coaching, for example, in education, getting college students and high schools and in different places where people are receiving training as coaches or working with coaches. So the idea is in this process of coaching transforming society, coaching not only being part of leadership and leader developing coaching skills, but also educators, teachers, professors. Also, we are seeing that in the physical, in the medical profession, many physicians also getting into developing coaching skills. So we're starting to see coaching skills applied and being more part of society. Coaching in non-for-profits and foundations. The idea that non-profits don't have resources is not true. Many foundations have a lot of resources, and many non-profits also have the resources to engage coaching and team coaching. And then we talk about teamwork and team coaching already, and this idea of team coaching having also been an advanced accreditation. I was asking Magda about if there will be an advanced accreditation also for supervision, and there is not, she couldn't commit to it, but I do believe that maybe that may happen. They're waiting for a new competency model coming up this year. And also issues of well-being, coaches supporting stressed out people because of the stress that we shared before. Coaches not doing therapy, but providing support to people dealing with anxiety in organizations because of stress, and also coaches receiving support to be able to do their job. So here where supervisors have a job in providing the emotional support to be sure that coaches are fit for service and they can do a good job working with their clients. So you see here is a puzzle with different elements to be paying attention. And I like to say that collaboration here is everything. We cannot do this alone. Okay, so I went a little bit fast. I didn't want to take a lot of time. I want to share some of the overall trends. So now, Michelle, why don't you share with us a little bit about your book and some of the things, maybe similar or different to what I shared, and then let's go to small group to discuss some of our thoughts about everything you heard.
I have only one slide on trends, so it's going to be easy.
Okay, let me make you co-host so you can do that. Okay, go ahead.
So it's a systemic representation of our market. Can you see the screen?
We can see it.
Yeah. Okay, so I think, I mean, I have a similar view on platforms here. Now, I think that the key element is that coaching is exploding. Now we have team coaching, individual coaching, team coaching. There is the team of teams coaching or organizational coaching emerging. Internal coaches want to have their own competencies. Coaching with horses, they also want to have their own competencies. I mean, so coaching is going in different directions, and in each of the directions, they want a special supervision, a special competence framework, a special ethics code. So, and the problem for supervision is that, are we going to make a framework, a supervision framework for each type of coaching, or are we going to put everything in the same supervision framework? In EMCC, we are working on the update of the current supervision framework, and we have decided to try to keep only one supervision competence framework. Otherwise, it's going to be a complete mess. And already we see in the field irritation about the fact that there are acronyms everywhere, and the field, the coaches and supervisors, they don't understand anymore what's going on. Platforms, as Damian said, there is a risk on, I mean, the platforms are modifying the standards, shaping the standards to fit to their strategy. We think that there is a risk here. Now, public regulators or private regulators also are trying to do something. Technology, I'm nothing to add about technology, IA, and but also virtual reality and bots, and a lot of things are emerging. So you see the systemic representation. What that means is that we are unable to predict where we go, except that coaching is going into pieces. And this is due to the fact that the coaching industry is becoming a red ocean, where the way to make more money is to create a small piece of blue ocean by having a kind of something specific where you are alone. And and also the fact that the stability of standards is at risk. And also there is another element, is the arrival of finance helping platforms to develop their strategy. So that's it.
Thank you, Michel. Very much. You see some things that overlap with each other. Yeah, I mean, there is a part of overlap, but now, I mean, with this, the other element is that clearly leaders have emerging needs, and we have not defined yet how to serve these needs. Our recommendation in the MCC is to build something like reflective space for leaders, or something like that, I mean, or reflective practice for leaders, but not use the word supervision. Otherwise, it would create a big mess on the market in terms of message. We'll call it. Yeah, thank you. I think it's a good idea. I agree with that. Let's go to breakout room. Let's spend 10 minutes just talking about everyone share what are your reactions and your experiences. And then when we come back, we have one person who can take some notes and to see what are your experiences, what do you see as trends, and to see how they are similar or different to what you have heard so far. Okay, so let's do that for 10 minutes. And 10 minutes is again. Okay, let's be back in 10 minutes. So how was the conversation?
I thought it was interesting finding out what's happening around the different countries, like what type of work is happening, what clients are looking for, what coaches are looking for. So it was interesting to get the different scenarios around the different countries.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what's going on in Singapore. So Kevin, what would you say? Anything in Singapore do you think is different to what we shared before?
So no, so Southeast Asia, there's not much demand for supervision. So a lot of coaches don't even know what supervision is, and when you say supervision, oh, you mean mentoring, and there's a lot of that going through. So there's a lot of education that's required. In terms of work, from Q3 last year right through to now, there's a lot of work or a lot of demand for team coaching. A lot of it stems from hybrid working. And also because teams are now all over the place, collaboration and efficient work processes are all needed now. So there is a lot of demand for team coaching. And I also said in our group that if we were to push supervision here in Southeast Asia, we might need to go on a rebranding exercise, because the connotation here in this part of the world is that supervision is that somebody is actually supervising you, like telling you what's right and what's wrong, which is actually mentor coaching. So the whole concepts or nomenclature for mentor coaching and supervision almost needs to be switched around.
Yeah, I hear you. We have been struggling with that. It's interesting because Kevin now is in the global board of directors of ICF, and I was there like 10 years ago. And I'm wondering right now, is there any conversation at all at the global board level about these issues?
So like you said, Magda has shared that there is research and work being done. So I guess we're just waiting on all that research to come out in terms of what they've found. But I think it's a bigger picture than just ICF, Damian, simply because with the MCC having created all of the credentials for supervision and mentoring as well, it's kind of like it's a bigger animal that we have to try and get through. And the question that has to be asked, and for those of you that are in marketing, right, is it easier to educate people in terms of what mental coaching is as opposed to supervision? Or is it easier just to rebrand, like just give them new names? And then that way people can relate to it more. So I don't think it's just an ICF thing. I think it's a bigger professional conversation that needs to take place.
Good point. Thank you. Thank you, Kevin, for sharing that. It's a really interesting point to look at. So in your group, you were with Scott and Michelle. Scott, anything you want to share about China? What's going on in China or your experience there?
No, I'm not seeing the trends in terms of coaching. And so supervision's new. Chaya was in our group, so we're mostly in Asia, and then Michelle had already presented us mostly this. But you've got the hierarchy. People are looking for a mentor. They're looking for you to tell the answer. Not all, and so I think it will continue to grow, but yeah, I'm not seeing the trends emerge like the platform and stuff.
Yeah. And in the other group that we have Gerardo, Liane, Sunny, and Sophia, who would like to share?
We discussed more of we are noticing as emerging neurodiversity, trauma-informed coaching, or therapists becoming coaches, and I think the cultural awareness. I don't know if I missed anything else.
Well, that's a great point.
And the time zone, I think the burnout, Liane, because like how long are we working? When do we start our day or when do we end our day? So how do we maintain our energy?
Boundaries are challenging because we love our work, so we cannot say no, but that has a consequence in our health, in other parts too. So it's tricky. It is tricky. This is about the well-being. We were talking before about the well-being. There is a research being done right now. There is a leadership institute that ICF developed on research on different topics, and now they are researching well-being and the role of coaches in the well-being in society, using coaching for that, but also for the coaches to take care of their own well-being to start with. It's another area, another trend. But neurodiversity, what you're talking, Sophia, we're trying, interestingly, anything that is new takes time and work. We started a special interest group in the American Coaching Supervision Network on neurodiversity, and they had challenges in getting people to come. And they had to stop and regroup and see what they're going to be doing. Because even if something new, they're still committing. I don't know, there are a lot of, another trend that we were talking before of the session today, that people are burned out of Zoom. So it's like, it's an effort in coming, like particularly if you're working all day with clients, then at night, Sunny, like for us, Sunny, my neighbor, at the end of the day, it's a big effort in showing up. Yeah, for you too, you know, it's like at the end of the day, showing up for things that are for our own development. It seems a luxury. So some people are seeing it, okay, I cannot make that time. I just need to.
And they never will hear the tapes.
What do you say, Gerardo?
And they never will hear the tapes.
No,
I see it
the
later.
recording.
Never.
No, the recording, no. No, they will not,
I just, when Kevin was speaking, you know me, I am a very exaggerated thinker. The problem is that coaching industry is a monster with two heads, you know, and they never get together to resolve the profession, meaning that ICF or EMCC are part of the responsibility that coaching is not a clear thing in the world and can differentiate and put in better place what is coaching and what is not. And you know that two head monsters are not so collaborative. Just for the show, the agreement,
we are
the agreement,
politics.
Yeah, the politics that they have made. But and you know very well what I think, there is much to do if those heads, those two and other ones, country by country, would put clearly what is coaching and how to manage it and how to develop and put a little order on coaching, mentor, and supervision, and that would help us all. That's my most profound thinking. And when Kevin was speaking, I think it's important to think it over, meaning that collaborative, your first word was collaborative, and collaborative is the word for this to success.
Yeah. I think that was a message on my slides at the end, that they say how we can collaborate, because alone we cannot do anything.
The other thing I feel, Gerardo, is that we have to remember as coaches, we are critical thinkers, and we ask questions and go outside of the lines and color outside the lines. So we must keep asking ourselves and not be exclusive to the point where we don't see other possibilities. And there are other possibilities around even the coaching services that we provide, you know, and there are emerging approaches to coaching that may be very different than what all these countries suddenly decide, you know, because the world changes constantly. And so do we as coaches have to expand and keep ourselves open.
Excellent points. And I was blown away. I was listening to an EMCC presentation from David Clatterback on AI. And being honest with you, like what people were saying in that session, I was very surprised how many of our colleagues are so close-minded and say, no, I cannot understand how AI can be integrated to our work. I don't think it's necessary. Like, I was surprised, but I think it's talking about recordings, Gerardo. Sometimes it's good to watch some of these recordings of sessions that we miss that may be of interesting, because you get to hear what are people's reactions worldwide. And I am going tomorrow to do a presentation in person in Orange County, that is like an hour away from where I live, is for I see a chapter of Orange County on AI. And I am a little bit worried because I don't have a clue what they are going to find. I don't know how, open they're going to be, or what state of mind they're going to be. And so it's interesting. I will share with you later how did it go. But I think that there is some uncertainty, and we, in some way, in this, what we experience around AI and coaching is what many people experience in their workplaces. How AI is threatening some of their work, part of their work. And there is some research that shows that for most professions, AI is going to replace a percentage of the work that we do. So that is bringing a lot of anxiety in the systems that we work. And we are not an exception.
Coaches have biases like everyone else. And we have to remember that we are biased. And even the other modalities and things like liberatory coaching is different. And it doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means that it's different. And we must stay open to at least hearing and not just collaborating, but co-creating our future profession.
I use as a logo done by my son 10 years ago or more, the simple figure out of the box. And when you spoke about the need of coaches to look around out of the box, what is happening on the world and what is happening around, that's the first challenge. So imagine to accept intelligence, artificial intelligence. So there is, I think that's a challenge. So coaches can change or open mind of what we've learned to be in the box of example, 8 competence, 11 competence, do this, do that. The pressure of the organizations has put us in a box. So I think, as Sunny says, there's much to include on our profession. I personally always say that supervision was a very important and open mind opportunity to confirm things that I think and use things that I wasn't sure, because in the box you can say you can do whatever. And I think that's the reason that I say supervision is the next level for coaching. And I won't speak more because I speak too much.
No, it's great you are here. Gerardo is doing a lot of work in Latin America, bringing awareness of supervision to the Latin American countries in Spanish. So thank you, Gerardo, for all your work. And we need to wrap up. And the invitation is for everyone. I share with you the slides. So they are in the chat box. You want to download them now before we go, if you can do it. So you want to do that now before we close the room. And I want to invite everyone who is here to present in the future. It's like, this is a community, we all learn from each other. So Liane, please think about anything you want to present. Maybe after the conference, maybe you can do a presentation about the key part of the conference, and you can lead that conversation in May, for the May session. Sophia, I'm sure that you have something that you can present. Think about a topic that you like related to supervision. Savannah, Kevin, the same thing, Sunny, everybody here can present. So just think about something that you would like to present. Michelle presented many times for this space. So want to hear everybody's voices. And sometimes it's like today you prepare like a 10 minutes presentation and then you open to discussion. So you don't have to be lecturing here. It's more like facilitating conversations. And next month we have Inga Bielinska. She did a session on psychodrama for the American Coaching Supervision session. And what came up in that session was the interest in what is called, when you look at the relationship, how people relate to each other, it's called sociopaths.
Constellations? Is it constellation? No.
No, it's about relationships. I'm visualizing it related to constellations. It's how you do maps to see relationships between people. And so it's going to be very interesting if you can make it. This is going to be a presentation for the Asian Coaching Supervision Network. And for people who can attend the American Coaching Supervision Network, we're having a session with John Withenton, who's going to talk about constellations. And he's also going to be presenting at the conference coming up that Liana and Lily are organizing, the 7th America's Coaching Supervision Network Conference. Do you want to share briefly, Liana, about that conference so people can save the date? And
Yeah. Thank you, Damian. I know we've only got less than 0 time left. It's really about what do we as coaching supervisors need to build and grow in our capacity to be with the coaching community at this time. And so we're really focusing on the wisdom of consciousness, the wisdom of non-duality. What is that kind of space that we can lean into or feel supported by or seek wisdom from in order to grow ourselves, to be able to hold what we need to hold with our coaches that are coming to us. And so there's going to be things on constellations, Akashic records, earth wisdom, the one eye instead of the 7 eyes, emergent dialogue, sound bowls, singing bowls, like all sorts of things that really just expand, that we can lean into, that help us in these moments when it's really difficult. You know, raising our level of consciousness. How do we do that? So that's what we're going to be hanging out talking about. So you're all welcome and we'd love to see you.
April 19th and 20th. Do you have a link handy in the, so you want to put it in the box for people?
Oh, that's a great
But you
idea.
can go, if not, you can always go to our website, the American Coaching Supervision Network, and you will find the link there to sign in.
Here it is.
Okay, here it is. So thanks everybody for coming. It's really great having people from Asia, from Australia, from France, from Uruguay, from all over the world, China. You know, this is really cool to have these conversations. What we need to figure out if we do this every month or if we should do it every other month. You know, we have a session for March with Inga, and we need to figure out if we are going to be meeting every other month. What do you think? The people who are here, will you want to continue to meet every month, or would you rather meet every other month? You have to choose. What do you think is better for you?
We could try every other month and see what the response is, you know, and if it's a greater response, then I guess other people.
Yeah, we can try.
You know, that's always a challenge, you know, in all the continents. And I am from the idea that of doing things with more frequency than less frequency, in the order of that supervision is a tool that we need to make visible, and for coaches and for people who don't understand. And the opportunity is to have frequency opportunities to say, well, I go, and then they come. And I think insistence is important. Maybe, of course, the hours, no, the time or the hour. That's the most important thing. How can or do it or repeat it 2 hours in a day, or repeat the, no, say we have to invent new things for people to come, because there's millions or 1,000 coaches that can have a benefit on this. And the question is, no, considering of course that we work for coaches, not only for supervisors, no, that's the point.
Yeah, so it's that's a good point.
Like one meeting in a month for coaches and one meeting in a month for supervisors, something like that.
So things, it's called sociometry. What I was looking for the word before, what we're going to have sociometry in supervision. This is what Inga is going to be doing next month. So we will have a session for sure next month, and then we will see if we meet every other month or every month. So thanks everybody for coming and for participating.
Thanks for organizing.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
I will see you soon, okay? Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
By the way, Sunny is going to be doing a demo for us next month. So look at in my newsletter so you can come to see Sunny doing a demo for the program it's a Tuesday, so it's going to be good for Asia too. because it's the last Tuesday of next month at 4 p.m. It's a little bit earlier. So you need to calculate like 3 hours earlier than what was today. And the information is in my newsletter. So you can, if you receive my newsletter, you will have that there. If you don't receive my newsletter, let me know, because there is, I share all of the information about this network, the American network, the conference, and everything I put there. So it's a good place to get everything there. Okay?
Which day is that, Damian?
It's going to be, so it's Wednesday for you. It's the last Wednesday of the month. No. Yes, it's the last Wednesday for you because you're in Australia, and it's at 4 p.m. our time. I don't know what time will be for you.
10 p.m. 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Yeah. So, and I will share with you the link later, so you can come. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.